Well, things are heating up again for former President Trump.
Yeah, definitely getting interesting.
Remember that case Carroll brought against him last year?
The one where she sued him for sexual abuse and defamation, right?
Exactly.
I remember that one.
Yeah, well, an appeals court just upheld the original jury verdict.
Wow.
Meaning Trump still has to pay up
$5 million.
$5 million from the first defamation case.
He's got that other one too, right?
Oh, yeah.
$83 million on the line from the second one.
Yeah. But today, let's just focus on this appeals court decision.
Okay.
This one's sending shockwaves through legal circles.
Yeah, I can see why this one's a big deal.
So what makes it so significant?
Well, for one, the appeals court really scrutinized everything.
Like they didn't just go with the jury's decision.
No, they went through the whole case.
Examined all the evidence, all the argument.
And they agreed with the jury.
So this isn't just a small setback for Trump.
This is a major legal blow.
It really throws a wrench into his legal strategy.
Absolutely. His options for appealing are really limited now.
But he could still take it to the Supreme Court, couldn't he?
He could petition them, yeah.
But
they're very selective.
they only take a small percentage of cases.
Right.
So why would they even consider getting involved in this one?
Trump's lawyers would have to make a strong case.
That it raises a big constitutional question.
Something that goes beyond just Trump himself.
Something that affects the whole country.
Exactly.
Like a precedent-setting case.
Uh-huh. A ruling that changes things for future presidents.
If you're interested in keeping up with cases like this one,
Yeah.
don't forget to subscribe.
It'll keep you in the loop.
So they could argue that the verdict infringes on presidential immunity.
That's one possibility, yeah.
But even then,
The Supreme Court overturning it is unlikely.
they'd be going against the appeals court.
Right.
Okay, so let's say the Supreme Court doesn't take the case,
Yeah, okay.
or they hear it and uphold the appeals court's decision.
Mm-hmm.
What happens then? Does Trump just write a check for $5 million?
He could.
And that's it?
He could, but...
But knowing Trump,
Yeah.
he's not exactly known for just paying up.
Not really. He likes to drag things out in court.
Yeah, delaying tactics, the whole 9 yards.
So what happens if he just flat out refuses to pay?
Carroll has some options.
What kind of options?
Legal tools. She can go after his assets.
His assets? Like what?
Seizing property.
Really?
You know those Trump Tower apartments?
Oh, wow.
Maybe those gold golf carts?
You think they'd go after those?
It could be anything of value.
Anything.
Real estate businesses, investments, even personal belongings.
Like art jewelry, things like that?
The court could order them to be sold to pay the judgment.
Wow, that's pretty serious.
And there's more.
More?
She could pursue wage garnishment.
Wage garnishment.
Yeah, like when you owe child support or back taxes.
Could they really garnish a former president's wages?
It sounds crazy, I know,
Yeah, a bit.
but it's possible. The law applies to everyone.
Everyone, even former presidents.
And if he becomes president again,
Oh, wow.
it's still possible.
Unprecedented, though.
Can you imagine?
I can't even imagine that.
President's paycheck garnished to settle sexual abuse case.
That would be wild.
I wonder what our listeners think.
Yeah. What do you all think about that?
Could you see this actually happening?
Let us know in the comments.
And if you're enjoying this discussion so far,
If you're finding it as fascinating as we are.
be sure to give this video a like.
We appreciate it.
Okay, so let's get back to that $5 million.
Right.
Let's say Trump fights this tooth and nail.
Okay.
Heals every step of the way.
Dragging it out as long as he can.
How long could this whole thing go on?
Well, the legal system can be slow.
Months, years.
But in this case, I think it'll be relatively short.
Really, why is that?
Well, there are deadlines in the appeals process.
He can't just appeal forever.
Right. He has a limited window to request a review by the full panel of judges.
In the appeals court.
And even if he does that,
And if they rule in his favor.
it just goes back to the lower court.
For a new trial.
So we're not talking years and years of legal battles.
Probably not.
Even if he goes to the Supreme Court.
They probably won't drag it out.
Right. They know everyone's watching.
So realistically,
Yeah.
we're looking at a resolution in the next few months.
Most likely.
Anything could happen, of course.
In the world of law, anything is possible.
But it seems like this is heading towards a conclusion.
Sooner rather than later.
All right, we've covered a lot here.
We have
The appeals court decision, asset seizure.
wage garnishment.
It's been a whirlwind.
But there's one more piece we need to discuss.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
We need to step back
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
The bigger picture. Okay.
This case isn't just about Carroll and Donald Trump.
I see.
It's about presidential power.
Presidential power.
Legal, Accountability.
Accountability.
The fabric of our democracy.
Wow. You've definitely got my attention now.
Let's dive into that.
Let's do it. It really does make you think.
Like, what could happen?
If the Supreme Court sides with Trump,
What kind of precedent would that set?
it's the million-dollar question.
Or the $88 million question?
Right, with everything at stake for Trump.
But forgetting about the money for a second,
Okay.
what would it mean legally?
It would create a shield for presidents, basically,
Shielding them from being held accountable?
for things they did before or even during their presidency.
So even if a president did something really bad,
Something totally unrelated to their job.
they could just say, I'm immune?
That's the potential implication. Yeah.
It throws the whole system of checks and balances out the window.
Right. Who watches the watchman if the president's above the law?
It's like saying presidents can act without consequence.
Exactly. And that's why this has people so worried.
It's not just about Trump and the 5 million
It's about the foundations of our legal system.
and the limits of presidential power.
It's like a microcosm of this huge debate.
This debate about a strong executive branch versus accountability.
Exactly. A debate that's been going on forever.
And this case brings that debate front and center.
It does.
Makes you think about this in the context of #MeToo.
The hashtag #MeToo movement.
All those powerful people facing consequences.
Hollywood producers, CEOs.
So can that same level of accountability apply to a president?
It's a test of that question, really.
Will this case embolden others to come forward?
Knowing even a former president isn't untouchable.
What do you think?
Has this changed the game?
Let us know in the comments. And if you're enjoying this conversation,
If you're as captivated as we are,
don't forget to like the video.
we appreciate it.
It's a powerful symbol, this case.
It is, no matter what happens.
It started a national conversation.
About power accountability, speaking truth to power.
The ripple effects could go way beyond sexual assault.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it.
Okay.
If a former president can be held accountable
Yeah.
for actions before he was even in office,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean for other powerful people?
I see where you're going with this.
CEOs, corporate executives, government officials,
Anyone in a position of power,
they could be held accountable too.
potentially, yes.
So this case is a blueprint for accountability,
It could be a model for other cases.
no matter what the issue.
That's why everyone's watching so closely.
Legal experts, activists, everyday people.
It could reshape how we understand power.
Accountability, even democracy itself.
It's a lot to consider.
Quite a legacy for a single case.
It is a reminder that justice can prevail.
Even against immense power,
It shows the strength of our legal system,
that everyone is held accountable.
no matter how wealthy or powerful.
Okay, we've talked about the long-term consequences,
The big picture stuff.
but let's bring it back down to earth.
Back to the case itself.
What happens next?
Procedurally, I mean,
And when can we expect a resolution? This case has been a wild ride.
it really has kept us all on the edge of our seats.
From the allegations to the jury's verdict to all these appeals,
It's been nonstop drama.
and through it all, E. Jean Carroll hasn't backed down.
Not one bit.
It takes a lot of courage to go up against someone like Trump.
Especially with everyone watching.
It can't be easy facing all that pressure,
The criticism, the threats.
but she stayed strong.
Absolutely, she's determined to see this through.
Makes you think about what this means for other people.
People who've been through similar situations.
If a former president could be held accountable,
Maybe it gives others the strength to come forward.
to seek justice for themselves,
It could be a turning point,
a sign that no one is above the law.
no matter how powerful they are.
So where do things go from here?
That's the big question.
What should we be watching for?
Well, the most likely outcome is the appeals court decision stands,
And Trump has to pay the $5 million.
whether he does it willingly or not.
That remains to be seen.
He might try to fight it.
But what about that other case?
The second defamation case
The one with the $83 million
is
judgment?
still in the courts.
Is there any way he gets out of that one too?
It's tough to say for sure.
But given what happened with this appeal,
Yeah.
it seems like things aren't going his way,
The courts are taking this seriously.
holding him accountable for his words and his actions.
It's not over yet, though.
There could be even bigger implications down the road.
We'll have to wait and see what happens
We'll be sure to keep you updated.
as the story unfolds.
It's a story that's captivated the nation.
And it's raised some big questions.
About power accountability,
even democracy itself.
questions we need to keep asking.
As a society, we can't shy away from these issues.
This case has been a lens,
To examine those issues.
and to remind us
Hmm.
that the law is always evolving.
Shaped by the cases that come before it.
Each of us has a role to play,
in upholding justice and accountability,
making sure our legal system works,
protecting everyone's rights.
holding those in power to account.
That's what it's all about.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We hope you found it insightful.
And thought-provoking.
If you did, be sure to hit that like button.
And subscribe to our channel.
We'll be back soon with more engaging content.
Until then, stay informed, stay engaged.
And keep those critical thinking skills sharp.